Surely you know me. I'm your master.
Don't you ever think of anything else.
Well, hi, everybody. This is a new podcast from the In the Red Productions. It's part of our big empire. We got Yippee-Ki-Yay, we got Cue It Up, and now we've added MovieStrange. And the way MovieStrange works is I have two of the smartest guys I know about movies, Uncle Al and Drew Gould. Say hi, everybody.
Hello.
That's Drew. That's Al with the mask.
Uncle Al.
Uncle Al. The way this works is each one of these guys brings a film to the table, but they give me a 4-word description of that film. I pick the film that they make me watch, because when I say they make me watch, I mean they make me watch, because most of these films I'm never going to want to see. This is how it works. So here's what we're going to do. Now, this is since this is our first film. They've already given me the 4 words for the description. I've already picked it, but I want to show you the 4 words. Here's the first set. Life.
Okay.
Death. Love, formaldehyde. Second one. Saxophone, grief, infidelity, enslavement. So that's what I had to pick from. I picked saxophone, grief, infidelity, enslavement. And I think that was Al's film. Is that correct, Al?
That is my fault.
Okay, Al, tell me what film I picked.
You picked TheDevilsHoney, directed by Lucio Fulci. Just a little story about this. I didn't know about this movie. I went to a horror convention and I went to Severin's table and I was like, tell me what movies I should buy. And they mentioned that this film had a saxophone scene in it, and I used to play saxophone in middle school, so I was like, oh, it's got to be great, right?
Like they played it in this one?
No, I did not. I did not play it like they played it in this one.
Interestingly enough, there's a saxophone scene in the original Mad Max.
Yes, there is.
You brought up saxophone.
And there's a saxophone player in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. But
I did not know that. Of course, St. Elmo's Fire has the most famous saxophone player.
Not Lost Boys?
Rob Lowe. I don't know. So
Lost Boys is a pretty famous one.
So Al brought TheDevilsHoney to the table for me to watch. Now I have a preview, but it's not really a preview. It's just a scene from the film. Should I show it or?
Which scene is this?
I don't know. Which scene is it?
I think I'm just going to show it then.
Well, here I just want to give. There's a really great quote on the back of the box here. It says, "Ridiculously raunchy and awesome. Fulci's take on 9.5 Weeks will make you feel like a pervy 12-year-old watching softcore porn on late night 80s cable," which I think encapsulates it fairly well.
That is a fantastic description. I'm not going to lie. Now, who is Luke? What's his name?
Lucio Fulci.
You guys, you say his name like I'm supposed to know who that is.
I would say his most famous film probably is Zombie 2, which is like an unofficial sequel to Dawn of the Dead.
Zombie 1? What?
Yeah.
To what?
Zombie 1. Zombie 1
you should explain how that works in Italy a little bit.
So there's Dawn of the Dead by George Romero.
Right.
Dario Argento recut Dawn of the Dead for the Italian market, and they renamed it Zombie.
Okay.
And so there have been a series of zombie films after that, and Lucio Fulci did Zombie 2. I also own Zombie 5, which is not really related, but, So they like to change the titles and mix it up, and they'll reuse footage from other films and make their own films. Like there's one that was just released called Cruel Jaws, which just steals a bunch of footage from a ton of other movies, and they'll just slap a new title on it and package it and send it out. So back to Zombie 2, there are 2 really famous scenes in that movie. One is there's a giant wooden splinter, and a woman's eye gets pierced by the giant splinter, which is a total gross out scene.
A lot of eye trauma in this
eye trauma,
movies. Yeah, right. A lot of eye trauma.
And there's also another famous scene where there's a zombie that's like swimming and fighting a shark. and they actually put a guy in a zombie suit, and he was swimming with a live shark.
Jesus.
So
Ambitious.
ambitious indeed.
All right, before we get any further, there are spoilers. Not that anyone's going to see this film, maybe. I don't know. But spoilers. So, Al,
Yes, sir.
give me a synopsis of the film before I talk about my
Synopsis.
experience
Okay.
with the film, and Drew can jump in as well.
Let's see. There's a couple. One is a saxophonist. He's in the recording studio recording his first album, and he has a very controlling relationship with his girlfriend. I would say a sexually controlling relationship. And at one point, so it's about their relationship. You see a lot of flashbacks, and then at one point he's in a motorcycle accident where he gets brain damage from hitting his head on a rock, and so he goes to the hospital, and there's a doctor there that operates on him, and there's like a B storyline where the doctor he's cheating on his wife with prostitutes, and she's getting ready to leave him. And
But wait, but back up. He's got a thing about red. Like the first prostitute we see, she's got a run in her pantyhose.
yeah,
And she seals it with some red mascara that she then places on her private parts.
Wait, was that
And
mascara or nail polish?
that was
Nail polish. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
nail
just-
polish.
Clear nail polish is how I always fix the runs in my stockings. I've never seen the red.
So there's
That
a whole
was never-
scene where he buries
Yes.
his face in her private area and gets that red nail polish all over his face.
That's
So
right.
we've developed a theme of he likes red blood.
Which-
Okay,
Honestly, that seems a little unsanitary as well. So I
a little
hope
bit.
everybody
And he's a
knows.
famous surgeon
he is a famous surgeon,
because we know because he drives a BMW.
right? So
Okay.
there's him and his wife are having problems because she knows he's cheating on her, and she flips out on him, and he goes to operate on the musician, and it affects him to where he seemingly does not do the surgery properly and kills him.
Right. He's having stress in that
Yeah.
because she says I want a divorce while he's trying to operate and he can't do the operation, and the young man dies.
Right.
The young
And so-
saxophone player.
And so the saxophone player's girlfriend flips out and blames the doctor for killing her boyfriend, and there's a whole thing going on about whether or not she's pregnant.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to show this clip
Okay.
now that you brought it up, because it's fascinating.
You planned to kill me, didn't you?
Why did you let him die?
I didn't. I didn't.
Why did you let
I did all I could to save him.
Why did you let him?
You gotta believe me, I did my best. I did all I could. No, get him off me, please! Take him away!
As some people in this movie do, we blew our load a little early. You have to. The audience understands that the woman whose boyfriend died on the table, she abducts the doctor.
Yes.
To get her revenge. So that scene is from early in that lovely process of getting revenge, where she has basically wrapped a rope around his neck and chained him up and threatening him with her dog and shaming him. So
That's right.
that's that scene.
Right. But we start the whole movie, and you know the saxophone. You kind of like you buried the lead. Okay. So the first scene in the movie.
I'm hesitant to talk about that because
I'll talk.
I know
Let's talk because
I know no one will ever see this, but it's so out there.
well,
And this scene is one of the reasons why I suggested this movie in the first place, because I want to bring movies to the table that have scenes that just like you don't see at all. Like these are new things that you just don't see in films.
It's funny. It's so, I told you about Mad Max, and then we talked about the commitments where Elvis's father threw up in the trumpet or the saxophone. And then you show this film where a guy uses a saxophone to pleasure his girlfriend. And that wasn't the disturbing part. The disturbing part was he did it in front of, he was in a studio.
Yeah.
And everybody's just watching these two do whatever they're doing. And
No, they left the studio to go get coffee or something.
10 minutes,
they
they
were
back
good.
in 10.
Yeah.
So yes, within 10 minutes, he brings his girlfriend to climax by playing that same theme over and over. I can't hear that theme anymore without having an orgasm, by the way. That's It's amazing.
The movie is very real in some ways.
It does list it as a sensual sax theme in the subtitles.
Oh my
Now,
God.
this is an Italian film dubbed in English, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They dubbed most of their stuff, even if it's
hang
not
on a second.
necessary.
I want to say,
Drew, get me some sense. I can't.
I want to say two things. I want to say, first of all, the saxturbation scene is very creative, but it did remind me of when Howard Stern did that when he was
right. And
I'm
Private
so
Parts.
glad you said that. The
Yeah.
sibling
and
thing.
it
What
was
is that?
portrayed in Private Parks. So I believe that there may be some authenticity to it. I
But
did
that
not
was a
find
lot
it
of bass. That contained a lot of bass when they.
I didn't find in this movie, I didn't find that scene or really any of the other scenes remotely sexy at all. But my big challenge with the movie, there's just a couple things that people that get into these kind of movies need to know, which is that this movie is shot in Italian with Italian actors and everything. Correct me if I'm wrong, Uncle Al, but I presume it's shot MOS, which means without sound, so that all the sound is.
I think they just automatically discard all location recording and just dub it.
That's what I'm
But the
saying.
lead's
So,
an
yeah,
American. The doctor's American, isn't
Yeah,
he?
but they'd still redub it anyway.
But was he
they-
speaking in? Was he speaking Italian when?
No, he was probably speaking in English. They
Okay.
just redub everything.
So they record it with no sound. They just and then dub it all in later.
yeah.
Right. Which
Oh,
is
wow.
why it sounds a certain way, because it's not. I mean, all movies that anybody's going to see, the sound is far more complicated and re-recorded than anybody realizes anyway.
Right.
But that's,
Always.
the way it sounds is a bit of an adjustment. You kind of get your ear used to it.
Yeah, and you have to
And-
deal with like it being out of sync a lot.
Yeah, a
with the
little bit.
picture
Yeah,
and-
nothing's lining up.
And I generally, as a rule, I much prefer subtitles to dubbing, except these kind of movies. It's just, I don't know, it makes them feel a little rougher because they feel almost more like what they're intended to be because everything is a little rougher. So I stopped seeing this out of sync and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, once he blows a saxophone up her hooter, it's like
Right.
all bets are off at that point, right? And okay. I don't know how we talk about this, except since I picked the film, I want to talk about a few things and you guys jump in. All right. I don't understand the relationship. And I guess he was controlling her the whole time because it seems happy, but there's all these, she never seems like it's all about, she doesn't want to have sex with him and he's date raping her all the time through the whole film.
He's repellent. Every scene with him, including in the flashbacks, is rapey, but then it's like she consented after. So in the studio, on the motorcycle, on the stairs, when he's driving the motorcycle in circles around her, when he has the
I
accent.
forgot about the
There's nothing sexy about their relationship, and to me, there's nothing erotic about their relationship because sometimes I start to think, well, maybe it's like a game that they play, but then she really doesn't want to be publicly humiliated. She doesn't want to die on a motorcycle jerking
She
him off.
says no about 17,000 times in this film. No.
Yeah. And I think some of that is probably from where it is both in time and in culture. But that gets in the way of a lot of the movie for me because a lot of the movie could feel like a cheesy 80s film, with some of the stuff. And that quote that you read, I can't get past how rapey it is, which I know is a big thing that comes up on our other podcast. But I mean, it's really, I mean,
the whole movie's about like sexual power and power dynamics. And I would say that, yes, he is rapey and she does not want him to do that. But at some point, there's two couples. Like there's the doctor,
right,
who doesn't want to be with his wife because
he can't.
She's too submissive.
No, he can't complete the act. His thing is
because I think it's because she's too submissive and won't take charge, and so he's going to see prostitutes in order to get off. But you can see that transition that he it's almost like he wants a more powerful woman because he can fulfill that desire later on in the movie when she swaps power roles, like the girlfriend.
That big scene where she it's that. Okay, so there's another character in here we haven't talked about yet, which is the producer of the album, right?
All right.
Right. Nick, was his name Nick?
Yes.
Nicky?
I think, and he's very rude to her. He scoffs at his artist's girlfriend. And then we find out more about why towards the end of the movie.
We find out. I mean, that turned her to basically let her hostage, Stockholm syndrome, have his way with her, and I guess they fall in love. I don't quite get how it ended, but sorry, spoiler alert. I already did that. Yeah, I just like a lot. A lot of Drew. I need some help here. I don't know what I'm feeling right now.
This is a movie I also hadn't seen before this podcast. So you and I are both new to the movie. I'm not new to the genre. I've seen a couple of Fulci movies, and I can certainly see this movie fitting in with a lot of other movies. We talked about I Spit on Your Grave and some of those types of exploitation films. I don't think any of those movies will have the saxophone stuff in it, which is very innovative. But to me, it's like you torture somebody till you fall in love. Now that you got to earn that shit in a real story. And to me, it reminded me of Thomas Harris. He wrote Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal Lecter was the big breakout character, and people loved him, and he really resented that. So he wrote Hannibal, which is the same thing in the movie as well, because he said, fine, you want the crazy murderer to be the hero? I'm going to have him have the romantic end and go off with Clarice at the end of the story, which the movie wasn't brave enough to do. Well, that's horrible and gross and not romantic. So I felt like this movie, it wasn't motivated by the same, fuck you fans thing that Thomas Harris did when he wrote that, but none of it felt real to me. And I know I was emotionally not connected to it. Because a dog is suddenly being buried in a grave on the beach. And I was like, wait, why is the dog dead? Did I miss something? Did they?
No, it just wasn't in there.
Okay. I thought maybe he made poison in the dog food.
Maybe he poisoned, maybe the doctor poisoned the dog food as he was like shoving it and eating it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
well, they were sharing dog food. She was making him eat dog food.
Right. But she didn't poison him. She just humiliated him. Like, if I think of a movie that I think is, and this isn't trying to be an honest emotional portrait of the way that humiliation and shame can be erotic, but if you've seen the movie Secretary,
yes,
with James Spader and Maggie Gyllenhaal, that's a wonderful movie. It's a wonderful love story, but it's about dominance and BDSM and all these other things. But they feel like real people, and everybody in this
is shock artistry.
It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be real, which means that I don't really. I mean, believing the love story is the least of the problems.
I think when I say it's like about power dynamics, I think that's as like deep as I can get, because it's really like it's threadbare. Like that's right. I mean, that's like kind of the theme, but really, I think it's just Fulci being weird and wanting to make an S&M movie.
Can we talk about this scene that happens in Rome, where the lovers are running around the city having fun, right?
Yeah.
And Nikki, his producer's with another woman.
Yeah.
Having fun. But then all of a sudden there's that scene where the two of them come out of wherever they were, and Nikki's on the other end of the courtyard. And it's like this showdown. And the umbrellas literally become this red, like,
oh, it wasn't a showdown. That was
I know where it led to.
No, right? But I mean, I read it immediately as there's some action going on there. No,
I did too. But the way he used the umbrellas, it just looked like this strange. Like, again, we just talked about this in the last one we did about Phantasm. All these meanings you're throwing behind that were probably just bad filmmaking. Like, why would you do that?
I wouldn't say this. I don't know that I would classify.
We're gonna get to the scene.
No. I don't know that I classify this as bad filmmaking. I think I would just call it a Fulci film.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about Fulci's catalog to know whether that's good or bad.
Whatever you feel watching this movie, most of Fulci's movies that are more famous, I've only seen Zombie and City of the Living Dead. Replace all the boobs and the pubic hair and all that stuff. Replace all that with very graphic, bloody violence.
Yeah.
But like low budget, like Phantasm, when you see the blood spray out, there's no part of you that says, "Oh, that looks like real blood." Like, it's just ridiculous. Right. And so the sex in this movie is ridiculous. the way that the violence in his movies are ridiculous. So he is. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of these Italian giallo horror films. It's just a whole genre unto itself, and the goblin type of synth music and all these things. And I'm sure other ones will come across our desks in this
Al
show.
probably has them all in his catalog. I mean,
I mean, I have Suspiria on
this received
Laserdisc. Does that count?
Yeah, this received a loving Blu-ray release by Severin. I mean, there's an audience for movies, and
It did.
yeah,
I just bought the DVD. I didn't get the
okay.
Blu-ray.
I mean, this is not a movie I want to watch again. It's not a movie I want to own. It's not a movie I see I'll sit down and watch after Thanksgiving dinner whenever we're allowed to do that again. But I get that it's a kind of movie that has fans, and that Uncle Al's one of those fans. And
I honestly don't know that I would say I was a fan of this movie. I think for me, it's just like I like movies that show me something new. And I wouldn't necessarily watch this all the time. This is the second time I've seen this, and I watched it at 2x speed because I didn't want to spend the full hour and a half watching it.
I did the same thing. I'm like, all right, let's just get to, because how much of the fake, yeah.
I didn't want to say I watched the first 20 minutes of Phantasm while washing dishes, but I guess we're all being brave.
Well, that's why I was doing the 2x speed. That's when the dog scene comes up. I'm like, what? No, I didn't miss anything. The dog was just one scene alive, next scene dead.
This is a movie of shocking scenes.
Yeah.
So you can draw the line and you can say this couple, he died because the doctor was distracted by his marriage. So the woman whose husband or whose boyfriend died wanted to get revenge on the doctor. And then at the end, I guess they fell in love, or maybe they were going to kill each other, or I don't really know. But that's the closest thing to a twist. But who cares? The scene of the saxophone, the scene of rubbing blood on each other, the scene of feeding dog food, all that stuff.
The scene in the movie theater, right?
The movie,
right?
Did something happen in the
that
movie
is like
theater?
out of nowhere.
That was a riot. But no, the best part of that is her. The best part of that is her look, that horror look she had when she's done kissing him, and she looks down and Nikki's, down, whatever's going on. Basically, the guy the three of them go to a movie. Let's explain it. And
go ahead.
The two romantic leads are kissing. And by the way, is that an Italian thing? All that super gross tongue kissing, all the licking of the lips and the tongues flapping everywhere. I mean, I'm Italian. That's like, so they're doing that for 10 minutes in the movie.
Us more about Fulci than anything else.
And the American movie's playing in the background.
That's the most pornographic part of the movie is the tongue.
Right, the tongues are going everywhere.
I know.
And all of a sudden, what's the lead's name? Her boyfriend. I forget his name.
Nick.
Do they even have names?
Yeah, he did.
Johnny. It's Johnny. Isn't it?
Whatever. Johnny.
Smucky.
So his producer's sitting next to him, and he just grabs his head, and he reaches down for,
and with a big smile. With a big smile, his producer.
And Nikki was happy as a clam, and all of a sudden she's done sucking face with him, looks down, and there's this shot of just abject horror on her face. Oh! And then they cut, and that's when she decides that I'm going to let the doctor that she's been imprisoning and humiliating and all this stuff, he's now my lover.
But she only decides that when she remembers it. When that actually happened, that wasn't enough to break them up. So it's like that gave her.
I think she blocked out. She repressed that.
I felt like I was asking too much of the movie the whole time I was watching it. As far as why is this happening? Because it's what's happening. That's what,
right. But that was a flashback. So that whole scene at the beginning in the studio where Nikki starts saying you need to get. They knew she. By the way, she got pregnant.
Right.
Right.
I guess.
She didn't want the baby, but she had that baby doll. This is crazy.
She wanted a baby.
Crazy.
And he didn't want a baby, but I thought it was going to go in a direction where he caused her to lose the pregnancy or something. But no, she lost the pregnancy, and he was rude about it.
Do we know at which point she lost it?
Yeah, because she was having cramps or something while she was the doctor. Was she?
There's a lot of scenes that I can't tell if they're injuries or menstruation, so I'm not really sure. Or red nail polish. I'm not really sure.
And I don't think we're the ones that should be,
Well, I think you can have an honest discussion about menstruation, but I don't think the clarity of that was the point of the storytelling, and I was not clear exactly what happened when in their emotional lives.
Maybe she thought she was pregnant, and then she just got her period, and then
therefore
in her mind she lost the baby. There's no clear scene where she goes.
The motorcycle
to a doctor
accident
to
was ridiculous. He should have never. He just kept circling around. He hit that rock. He tried to play. I think it was he overplayed the saxophone, then he had an aneurysm. It was all kinds
By the way, and Uncle Al can tell you this as a saxophone player. I actually took some alto saxophone lessons in freshman year at college as well, and I never got good enough to play the recurring theme that will get out of Ralph's head. But one of the things you have to do when you play the saxophone is you put air into it through the reed with your mouth.
Yes.
And your mouth moves. And I'm like, this guy's tongue is the most active thing in the whole movie, but he doesn't move his mouth or blow air into his saxophone. So I was like, that's probably not located.
He does not have good embouchure.
I'm going to take a leap. I'm going to take a leap and say he was not playing that saxophone.
What?
I am now, but I have to acknowledge something. The vagina shots, which it wasn't gross.
There are no vagina shots.
That's okay.
Are we? I think we're talking about the mons pubis, perhaps.
That's thank you.
You're talking about the full frontal female nudity with women of the era without the constant shaving and all that stuff.
Turns out I love the women of that era. I realized that. Oh my God, beautiful. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
It's nice. It's nice when a movie that you don't expect to do so teaches you a little something about yourself, Ralph.
I learned,
That's really good.
I learned nothing from this film except I don't think I'm going to watch any Lucio Fulci films ever. Hello, the zombie. I might try the zombie because if he's just passionate
you should at least watch that.
Zombie that's 2. Pretty. That saxophone scene was pretty imaginative. I have to give him credit for that. I mean, the actress had to do that.
Yeah,
right?
No, it's definitely something I haven't seen before.
And I don't know if you noticed, but the saxophone was fogging up. There was legitimate condensation on that saxophone.
Oh boy.
So
I didn't notice, and I'm not going to go back and confirm.
The other thing I noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed
I think Ralph went frame by frame.
He had a giant camera that he was, when they're videotaping their scenes together, right? Whole with the gun and she had the gun between her legs. It was all kinds of weird shit going on. But they didn't use a VHS deck. It was a Betamax deck.
Oh,
was that right? Okay, it was smaller.
I was very impressed when they panned across Betamax. So
nice.
That must have been what was going on in Italy. So yeah, I picked this film, and I'll never watch it again.
I think this is a good choice to kick off the show with because two of us have never seen it. You were drawn in by, I think, 4 very accurate and descriptive words.
They're very good words.
You're going to see these kind of movies across the episodes of the show, but not in the same way. Like I have some ideas some ideas of things that we could bring. I guarantee you they won't be anything like saxophone scene just because there's nothing like it.
But guys, it's definitely something that bar has been set pretty high. Okay. It can only get worse though, because it can only be like sticks in the eye or needles through the eardrum. I know what I'm about to dive into here.
I don't think you should expect to see a film like this every week either. This was
no.
It depends on your descriptions and what I pick. So
right, that's true. That's true.
This is and then we'll do some episodes where I'd like to have you two bring 2 films that kind of a theme. We'll figure out a theme for that week, and you guys
play with that.
It's not all going to be me picking these. But having said that, you guys have your 4 words ready?
Are we done talking about this movie already?
I think we're trying.
I don't know what else there's left to say.
What is there to say? I think people should watch it. And then
I was also concerned with the real dog lying under the sweater while they threw sand on it.
It looked real to me.
Yeah,
I think maybe they bought like a real dog.
A real dead dog?
Yeah.
By the way, he actually wore that sweater that she's wearing. It looks great on her. By the way,
she also shoves that thing in her crotch a lot too.
Yeah, but that scene where she masturbates him while he's riding the motorcycle.
Yeah, which is not safe. And they're not even wearing helmets.
That's very unsafe.
True Italian.
She was grabbing his helmet is what she was doing, but he looked like Greg Evigan too, that guy, that actor. That was kind of
a little bit. It
was good. He had a very wholesome but he was a sadist. He treated her bad.
Yeah,
I don't blame her for being he was not a nice boyfriend.
No. There's nobody nice in the movie.
I mean, could we say?
Well, yes, there was one nice person. That was the assistant to Nick, the producer.
Could we say that may be like typical musician behavior when it comes to their relationships with women?
Well, now we're going to get letters from musicians about our terrible stereotyping, but okay.
I mean, has anyone done that saxophone?
It's
funny you mentioned Howard Stern. That's exactly what I was thinking about when I saw that scene, that's where who else would have thought of that?
I mean, he's a very creative man himself. And I don't think he's ever heard of Lucio Fulci. Never mind seen a movie.
He may
Lucio
have.
Fulci.
He may have.
But sometimes you'll find like human development became our modern intelligence, and then octopuses are also smart. Totally different paths. So the speaker masturbation and the saxophone masturbation, it's just parallel evolutionary paths.
That's right.
It's just
good.
one of those
Good
beautiful
point.
mysteries of our world.
Good point. Now that actress got put through the ringer.
Yeah,
I mean,
she had a lot of credits though. I haven't seen any. She's a lot of other Italian movie credits and some Hollywood credits, and
wow.
I haven't seen any of it, but she was a working actress, not just somebody who was exploited.
It's funny. The thing that
good, I guess.
I was obsessing about is the way she was holding the dog. There were scenes, and we showed it in the preview, the trailer or whatever, the clip that I showed, that she's like, it looked like she was actually holding that German Shepherd and being pulled by him. I was very impressed. I was like, I couldn't get off the fact that I think she's actually holding that dog. And that whole thing with the dog barking at the door when she was with her boyfriend, and then barking at the door with the doctor.
Dog barks whether there's sex going on inside, or sex or torture or sexual torture. The dog wants to be involved.
Right.
And that's what I got out of that part of the movie. Good Lord.
Good Lord is right.
Well, thank you, Uncle Al.
Al.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. All right.
Now it's time for 2 movies, 4 words, brought by Uncle Al and Drew.
Baltimore Veterans Friendship Body Swap. I spelled friendship wrong, didn't I?
No, that's right.
No? Okay, good. All right. And butt plug. Okay.
And I Googled to make sure that butt plug is grammatically 2 words, and it is. Apparently.
Okay, there's our 2.
But are we talking about a butt plug or just a butt and a plug?
In this case, the words are related. Video game is 2 words together, and butt plug is 2 words together.
Okay.
Well, part of me feels like, I should get these blind from YouTube, because I'm a little bit like I just did
Uncle Al's movie.
and I'm leaning towards, but okay, but doesn't matter. I'm going for a video game butt plug. That's what I'm doing next week.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
So,
excellent.
And again, I don't know if it was tempered by what I just watched from Al, but that's the one we're going for. Video game butt plug. What is the name of this film?
So I'll introduce it by telling you this is, of all the movies that I love, and I love this movie, this is the one my wife likes the least.
When you say all the movies you love, you mean all the movies you love, or
yes.
cult movies?
Yeah, movies that I love, just in general. She likes this movie the least of all the movies that I love.
Okay.
And the movie is called Existenz, EXISNZ.
Okay.
It's a David Cronenberg movie. It came out in 1999 with a whole bunch of other virtual reality movies, some of which were good, like The Matrix, some of which were not as good, like The 13th Floor, some of which I'm not going to say because I may bring them in future episodes. But this is
like Lawnmower Man.
But yeah, well, that's not 1999. It's not the magic year of the best movies, but it's of the similar genre. But Existenz is a movie about video games and reality, and it's just a fantastic, amazing movie by David Cronenberg, who's an amazing body horror and suspense and craziness director.
This
Have you
is
seen it before?
Jennifer Jason Leigh, and who's the other actor? That's
And Jude Law.
Jude Law, yeah.
Jude Law. That's okay. It was Jude Law.
And if you've ever watched any Canadian movies at all, everybody else in the movie is from them. So you've got Ian Holm and all these other people that show up in all these genre movies and different Canadian movies. And it's another one of these movies that does a lot with a low budget. And I'm looking forward to watching it again because I haven't watched it in a while, and I'm really looking forward to talking about it with you guys. Have either of you seen it?
Strangely, I feel like
I own it.
Oh,
I have it on Blu-ray.
Oh,
me too.
I feel like this is like a cleansing one, even though it's a cult thing. But I don't know. There's something clean about this one. I know it's not going to be clean, but I don't know.
I mean, part of the experience of the movie is you can decide what's actually happening when you watch the movie, and if you want it to be this instead of that, that's okay.
Yeah.
So we'll watch the movie and you'll see.
I'm looking forward to this.
I think it's definitely cleaner than The Devil's Honey.
By the way,
Yeah.
speaking, what is The Devil's Honey? What's that title refer to?
Like a honeypot.
Honey, because he does that whole poem about the honeypot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I assume it was about the attraction of honey and
Yeah.
The sting of the bee and all that stuff. It's funny because I read something after I watched it that talked about it being a honeypot. And my understanding of honeypot was always that's a lure for people to ensnare espionage assets with a honeypot.
Right.
And so instead of an espionage asset, I don't know what she's doing.
Yeah, but she wasn't a honeypot. She kidnapped the dude. I mean, she went and got him.
Yeah,
I think what it was is he found his equal. And he got or someone better than him in terms of like a power dynamic, and he got ensnared by her and fell.
All right, now when the movie faded to black, do you think those two stayed together, or was it a murder suicide? Or was it
I think we're supposed to read it as they fell in love after all of this.
That's how I read it. Yeah.
It wasn't all a dream like some other movies I've discussed recently. But I think it's supposed to be an exploitation trash movie love story.
And I know we made fun of it a bit, but the nudity was kind of tasteful. He shot it. Especially if you like, 70s
the female form.
The female form from the 70s.
Lucio Fulci, they're not at all good, but I mean the man's made a lot of movies in his career. He died. He was only 68. It wasn't that long ago, but I mean, he made a lot of movies. He's one of the big names in Italian cinema.
Fulci was in the movie, though. He was the guy operating the postcard stand. The old.
Oh, really?
That's the guy who gave him the bracelets and said, "That's him."
I didn't.
Oh my
God! I didn't know that. That's
awesome.
funny. I didn't know that.
Awesome. All right. Well, this is a good premiere show for this. I think maybe for the old. In the Red Productions. I think this might be one of our proud, tentpole things. Who knows?
I think this podcasts tend to be the kind of things where you start somewhere and then they only get better.
Get better.
I think we're off to the start.
Good start. So next week, Existence. Is that how we pronounce that?
Existence, and they repeat that in the movie several times, and it's spelled EXISTEN Existence.
Beautiful.
That's part of the movie. So
I can't wait to see
you'll see. I look forward to discussing it.
All right, we'll talk about it next week. And
my wife will not watch it with me.
Oh wow. Okay.
Did your wife watch this with you?
Oh my God, no.
Okay. Just checking.
Al, how about you? Do you watch this with your significant other?
I do, and she actually didn't leave the room during this.
Is it only two of you on the couch, or is there a third one that? Maybe...
No, there is no third on the couch.
Okay, just check.
Except maybe Frank in the back. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. Good job. Have a safe week, and see what happens next week.
See you guys in a week.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.